All right, what's going on, guys? We've got to fix your shifting. Your weight shifting when it comes to Wing Chun is atrocious. And I'm saying this very much in the general because I don't know who's watching this video. But the reason I'm saying it in such a broad stroke is the fact that I look around and I look around and I look around and I just keep seeing bad weight shifting. When we shift in here, now hey, look, some schools are gonna say, hey, you shift on your heels. Some schools are gonna say you shift on the midfoot. Some people are gonna say whole foot balance, whatever. Look, whatever your Sifu says, do what your Sifu says, don't get kicked out of the school on my account. But let me explain to you why I teach it the way I do, and let me give you a tip on how to train it and fix it, and how to help your training partners train it and fix it, so that you actually have something functional to use. So when we take our stance, and we take this, that whole measuring out of the feet is just to get you about shoulder width, right? Shoulder width is pretty much a universal standard starting point. Some people are gonna want to be a little bit wider. Some people are gonna want to be a little bit narrower. Not a big deal, okay? It's really just getting you to a point where you are in a stable position. Now, once I'm here, the reason that I sink my legs, look, I'm not pinching my knees in like this so my weight is hanging out over empty space. That puts strain on the knees. That strain on the knees can lead to, in some cases, in some people, it can lead to some pain. Doesn't necessarily mean injury, but some people are more prone to pain. And the fact is that it's not very stable when your joint is bending the wrong way, it's a hinge. It moves one direction. It's not helpful when your joint is moving in the wrong direction and all of your weight is hanging out over empty space, because now you're introducing strain, shearing strain to a joint. That's not particularly going to be useful. You bend in the direction of the knees. The knees and the toes should be more or less going in the same direction. That's all. So when we refer to this stance as the character 2 goat pinching stance, that pinching action is actually the forward sink. It's not pinching in with adduction. That's actually bad. It's not useful. It is sinking forward, and when you sink forward, it creates the pinch because now you're working on that forward triangle. All right, the other thing, I don't need to be club-footed. I do not need my toes to be super far in like this. The angle on this, the measure that Sigon Kwok likes to use is, he says, about a meter in front of you. Nobody's gonna pull out a yardstick, right? Nobody's gonna pull out a meter stick. Nobody's gonna sit there and measure it. So what I recommend, this is what I do for all my students, what I recommend is when you find your stance, make the angle of your toes about the same as if you do this with your arms. That's all. If you point your arms, fingertips out in front of you, the angle of your feet should be about the same. Now from there, you're gonna grip the ground with your toes and rotate your knees out just a little bit. You don't have to go into super external rotation. We're not doing a Kelly Starrett thing here. Just a little bit out, right? Sink, and there you go. How far do you sink? You sink until your weight is across the entire foot. You should feel your weight distribution even from toe to heel, inside to outside. Your weight distribution should be even across the whole foot. If you're sunk back in your heels, either your posture is off or you didn't sink enough. You should be even here, wholly even across the entire foot. All right, there's more to the stance than that, but that's enough for now. Once I'm in this position, once I have that whole foot balance, here's the easiest way to get somebody to start shifting and doing it correctly. You do it 1 foot at a time. So if I start sinking my weight on my left leg, and I sink my weight until I can't feel my heel. My heel should not come up off the ground at all. I should not feel any weight in my heel. All of my weight should be front loaded now. Then I allow the lighter foot to pivot until it is parallel with the other foot. At this point, I should reassess my balance and get to whole foot again. Now, depending on what form you're doing and what drill you're doing, you may stay front loaded so that leg is ready to go. And in some cases, you may sink your butt a little bit and get back to whole foot balance if you think you're gonna stay there for a second. That middle to forward shift needs to be dynamic, and it needs to be instantaneous. So I'm not going to tell you to sit one or the other, but don't be on your heel. Now, from here, parallel feet, knees pointing in the direction of the toes, belly button pointing in the same direction, all of those on parallel lines. All I'm going to do is push my weight off of that foot as I pivot the light foot and come back to my original position. Again, once you find that original position, sink your weight, adjust, and feel whole foot balance. Now I go to the other direction. I start sinking my weight on my right leg. As I do that, I allow my left foot to pivot. And I look down and I check, are my feet parallel? More or less. Good. Are my knees pointing in the direction of my toes? More or less. Yes. Is my weight still front loaded on my right foot? Maybe I sink back, get whole foot balance. Maybe I stay forward so that I can feel that. Then I'm going to push off of this leg and allow my light foot to pivot as I'm going. And I come back to my center position. Once you do that a bunch, then you can start experimenting with doing both feet the whole time. Now, if you're coming from center, your one side doesn't have to move at all. But once you're there, what you're going to do is you're going to be moving both feet at the same time to get to the other side without stopping in the middle. This is where you want to keep that weight forward of the midfoot. You want that forward foot balance here now, because I'm going to be pushing off of this leg, and as I push, I'm going to be pivoting, not on my heels, not on my toes. I'm going to be pivoting on the midfoot to get to my position over here. I'm going to be literally pushing my weight over here, and as I push my weight over here, I'm also pivoting. And that all happens at once, and I'm not going to do it with a lean or anything like that. All I do is I push to change my weight, and I turn on my midfoot. Push and turn. And that's it. All you're doing is pushing from your heavy foot into your light foot, getting used to moving your weight from side to side and pivoting to reface at the same time. It's a very simple drill. It's a very easy way to fix your shifting. You can always do it by, put a coffee cup on the ground or something like that to give yourself a center line, and make sure that every time you shift, that your center is to one side of that cup, the cup or whatever center line. I mean, I think putting a coffee cup on the ground is probably the easiest thing. I mean, you could put a sticker on the ground, it doesn't matter, but something that you can see and check yourself against. And that will get you into a position where you can start shifting like that and stay facing so that your weapons are always aiming towards your opponent even when you slip. Now, there's nothing wrong with the shoulder side slip, there's not, but it's not how we do it in Wing Chun. Not for the most part. We kind of do it in section 2 on the dummy, at least our school does, but that's another story for another time. So when we look at this, what we really want to see is that you're managing your weight. So it's not just moving from side to side, it's not just turning. What I'm doing is I am trying to adjust my center so that my forward triangle is now facing my opponent and I am off of his line of attack. And that's all I'm doing there. Now, are there times where that you're going to be just trying to go forward with your shift and not change the line? Yeah, maybe. But for now, I'm not worried about that. For now, I really want you guys to get used to the idea of when I shift, right? If I do this without shifting, so if I straighten my feet out, if I were to put all my weight until I'm forward foot balanced on one side, I am very clearly over one leg. I should be able to pick up that other foot pretty well, right? I should be able to do this just fine and maintain my structure. So if I'm doing this, right, that's getting me into the habit of being able to move and come up for a kick or something like that. Now all I'm adding is I'm moving the line of attack. So now that I'm moving on an oblique angle to my opponent, which allows me to slip while still facing him and keeping my weapons engaged and forward to attack. That's all I'm looking for. Hopefully this helps, and let me know if you have troubles with any other basic pieces of Wing Chun basics and fundamentals, and I'll do my best to help. I will talk to you guys later. Good journey. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share, give the dog a bone. You can follow us on our other social media accounts, and if you really like us, you can head over to Amazon and buy a shirt. You can also go over to Gumroad and purchase some of our instructional courses. All of the links will be provided and also on our website. If you happen to be in the Phoenix area, we would love to meet you. Come drop in for a class, even just to chat. And if you're looking for a new home, we would be happy to have you. So until next time, good journey.